What is happening, gang? Purple and Gold podcast, Thursday, February 6th. Big night tonight for LSU Athletics. Softball kicks off the season at 6 p.m. Central. They're going to host North Carolina State. And at 8 p.m. Central tonight, ESPN, be there or be square. The number 5 LSU Lady Tigers at the number 4 Texas Lady Longhorns. LSU beat Texas earlier in the season when Texas was ranked, I believe, number 2 in front of a sellout crowd in the PMAC. This is LSU's lone opponent that they drew twice. So now they travel to Austin for a big top 5 showdown in SEC women's basketball tonight. I think Texas gets it done, but if LSU could win this game, LSU's favored in every other game this year, including at home against South Carolina. The Tigers would really have an inside track to the SEC championship if they win this game tonight. What I wanted to do today was continue our LSU baseball preview, and I wanted to talk about LSU's starting pitching. If you watch or listen every day, we covered the schedule and the expectations. We covered catching. We covered infield. We covered the outfield yesterday. You can go back and listen to any of those episodes on my social media channels or on YouTube. And today we're going to cover starting pitching. Now look, this is an area that, and we'll say the same thing about relief pitching, it's hard to really predict maybe beyond 1 or 2 guys. What LSU did last year, or more specifically, what Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson did last year is not the norm in college baseball. LSU won the championship series, the best 2 out of 3 against Coastal Carolina, by using 3 pitchers. Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson, and then Chase Shores to finish out game 2. Other than Zach Cowan and Kason Evans, who both played key roles, Evans in the resumed game against UCLA and Cowan in the spot start against Arkansas, there weren't very many guys that pitched beyond those 5 guys. I think Cooper Williams pitched a little bit against UCLA. Jaden Newt threw some in Omaha. All of this to say, I think this will be a different version of an LSU pitching staff. So let's start with what we know. We know Kason Evans is moving from his freshman All-America reliever role into a starting role. I believe he will get the ball next Friday on opening day against Milwaukee. He pitched today opposite Cooper Moore, who we'll talk about next, in the scrimmage this afternoon at Alex Box Stadium. That tells me those guys are lined up to pitch 1 and 2. So I think Kason Evans on Friday, and I think Cooper Moore on Saturday. And I think that is, in a perfect world, what you will see. Now, Kason Evans threw 4 good innings today. Those would be his best innings of the preseason. He's not been very good. He did start 3 times in SEC play last year to good results. He wasn't bad or anything. He wasn't as dominant as he was coming out of the bullpen, but that's to be expected. So now you're talking about, and Cooper Moore is the transfer from Kansas, who pitched a lot for them last year, pitched on Sundays, pitched on Saturdays, eventually moved into their Friday night guy. He's been LSU's best pitcher in the fall and here in the preseason. He brings you a veteran presence. So you talk about what do they have beyond Evans and beyond Cooper Moore? Well, there are several candidates. Let's start with William Schmidt. William Schmidt was a heralded freshman last year who, of course, turned down upwards of maybe $3 million to not go in the MLB draft and come to LSU. From Baton Rouge, Jay Johnson jokes that it's true. He had purple and gold LSU pajamas when he was a kid, always wanted to pitch for LSU. He was 7-0 last year in midweek action, but he walked way too many guys. He only threw 2 innings in SEC play. He did not pitch in Omaha. I think he pitched in the Super Regional against West Virginia when one of those games was out of hand, but he was not a big factor for LSU in any of their postseason games. In a perfect world, if you said, Rob, I need you to draw up LSU's pitching staff, this guy would take the reins and be the number 3 pitcher. Um, it's been, again, a mixed bag here in the preseason. He's looked good at times, and the control has escaped him at times. If he's going to walk people, he's not going to survive as LSU's Sunday starter. So then you say, okay, who are the other options? Well, there's the aforementioned Zach Cowan, who, of course, was Wofford's ace 2 years ago, came here to LSU last year and had this bulk reliever role. Again, if you ask me to draw up the best possible pitching staff, I think you need Zach Cowan in that long relief role, in that guy who can give you multiple innings out of the bullpen on an SEC weekend, especially when you probably won't have a staff full of guys like Anderson and Ianson who go deep in games. So you go William Schmidt. Zach Cowan would be a candidate. Jaden Newt is a guy who I think we need to keep an eye on. So Newt really pitched well the second part of last season, including a start that he made against Ole Miss in the SEC tournament. LSU lost that game, but it was a low-scoring game, and he pitched very well, and that game didn't matter to LSU's overall seeding or overall chances to win the national championship, obviously. Being that LSU plays Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then again on Wednesday, so 5 games in 6 days, I think Jaden Newt very well may start one of those games. The other guy to keep an eye on is Cooper Williams. Cooper Williams is a left-hander, a sophomore, pitched really well out of the bullpen last year. At times for LSU, pitched really well against UCLA out of the bullpen in the World Series. And he would bring a lefty option. He threw, I think, 4 1/3 scoreless innings in his outing last weekend in the scrimmage. Obviously, he'll pitch here. LSU is going to scrimmage tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. All of these guys will pitch again. So he would be another candidate to start games. So they've got a lot of guys. And then there's one other guy I'll mention, and it's Marcos Paz. Now, Marcos Paz is a freshman who absolutely would not be on LSU's baseball team had he not had Tommy John at the end of his junior year in high school. So he missed his senior year, came back, threw some innings at the draft combine, threw a bullpen, wasn't enough to get anybody to bite on his number. And so he's here at LSU, a lot like Cade Anderson, as he will be a draft-eligible sophomore. I do think they will ease him in, but I think he could be a guy who starts maybe the Wednesday game if he's not needed on Sunday or Monday early on. I love his stuff. It's electric. He's got a big fastball. He's got 3 pitches. He could start. It may be better for him to work in short bursts early on, but he would be another guy to keep an eye on in terms of overall guys who could start. Now, look, there are other guys that LSU has who could extend. Reagan Ricken is another freshman, big, tall right-hander who's well thought of. He could be a midweek starter. I don't think LSU sees him necessarily as a weekend starter at this point, but it's certainly possible. Gavin Guidry, who we'll get to tomorrow more when we talk about the bullpen, Guidry has extended. He threw 3 1/3 innings in the scrimmage last weekend. So they have guys and they have options. What I think you will see right now is I think you will see Kason Evans on Friday, next week against Milwaukee. Kason Evans on Friday, Cooper Moore on Saturday, William Schmidt on Sunday. And then depending on whether or not they've used Cooper Williams or Jaden Newt, I think you could see either one or both of them start Monday or Wednesday. If they use one of them out of the bullpen, one of them would start Monday, and then maybe you'd be looking at a guy like Reagan Ricken or some combination of guys in the midweek game on Wednesday. So I think that's where LSU's starting pitching is right now. And let me say this. When we talk about the bullpen tomorrow, we're going to talk about a lot of names. I'm going to throw a lot of names at you. LSU has as deep and as talented a pitching staff as you could possibly want. The difference between last year and this year, though, is on the weekend in the SEC, obviously, any weekend, 3-game series, you have to get 81 outs, 27 innings. Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson went so deep into games last year that it gave LSU this giant advantage. And then there were plenty of games where Kason Evans or Zach Cowan would clean up for Anderson and I. So you would only have used like 3 or 4 guys going into a Sunday, and you had all these pitchers left. I don't know that Kason Evans or Cooper Moore or William Schmidt profile as the kind of pitcher who would be going through the lineup a third time, maybe not even a second time. You hope so, and certainly Cooper Moore's looked the part, and we know Kason Evans can do it, and we know William Schmidt's pedigree is that he can do it. But this may very well be, especially early on, hey, let's get 5 innings out of a guy, right? And we've got all of these talented pitchers out of the bullpen, again, who we'll talk about tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead, to work an inning, 2 innings, 3 innings. And LSU's going to have multiple guys in the bullpen who can extend. So I think they'll just skin the cat a different way this year. But make no mistake about it, it's a top-end pitching staff. It's a pitching staff capable of taking LSU as far as we all want them to go. There aren't really any health concerns at the moment. Jonah Ossie, who is a freshman, he is out for the year, but they sort of knew that when they recruited him. LSU has 21 pitchers on the roster. Ossie is one who won't pitch. There was a guy who took the place of another injured pitcher who left the team. His last name is Shardar. I don't know how much he would pitch. So you're really talking about probably like 19 guys. Again, I gave you 5 or 6 options of guys who could start, maybe 7. So that's going to leave you 10, 11, 12 options in the bullpen. And that sounds about right. Not all of these guys are going to pitch on the weekend. A lot of these guys will just pitch innings in the midweek. And that's all par for the course over a 56-game college baseball season. We'll wrap up today. I do want to mention LSU was picked in the coaches poll to win the conference today. And they did put 5 players on the all-conference team. Kason Evans and Derek Curiel were on the first team, I believe. And LSU put 3 players on the all-SEC second team. So obviously LSU is well thought of in all of the major polls, and they were well thought of today by the coaches. The USA Today coaches poll also came out yesterday after we recorded our show, and LSU was number 2 in that poll. So in D1 baseball and USA Today, LSU's number 2. In Perfect Game and Baseball America, LSU's number 1. So a consensus top 2 team going into the season. Good luck to the Lady Tigers tonight, both in softball and on the basketball court. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, share, interact on any social media channels. Means a lot. As always, be good to one another, and always, 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 go Tigers.